You have to let me in because you have to let me my screen. You have to let me. You have to allow me. Can you see my screen? Okay. How do I? Okay. Hold for it. One participant can share at a time. So this is multiple participation. Yeah, that's right. Share. Okay. Now you are letting me in. Okay.
Okay.
Now I think you should be able to see my
Yes.
screen.
Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
Okay. Okay. Whenever you guys are ready, we can start. So that's no problem.
Only thing you can go for the full screen, sir.
Okay.
Whenever you start your presentation, you can make it full screen. Yes,
Now,
right.
now
Okay,
it is
okay,
screen.
fine.
Correct. And whenever you are guys ready, let me know and I would start. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Hello, can you hear me or?
It is audible.
Okay. Somehow I could not hear you, but as long as you can hear me, that matters. So let me know when you are ready, want me to start, okay? Okay.
Again, not audible, sir.
Uh, Now I think I can hear you. I don't know whether you can hear me or not. My pleasure, sir. Thank you for the introduction. Janabhai, thank you very much for the introduction and giving me this opportunity to make a presentation on something I have started about 8 months ago, and I believe it is very useful. In case if you get disconnected or if you can't hear me, please give me a call on my cell number, which is 732-648-7873. So I don't keep on going while you are not hearing. So you can see my screen, full screen, right? Hello? Okay. So let me start then. Food gets spoiled and has a typically trashed because of growth of fungus, over-ripening some produce, sprouting of tubers, wilting, losing waters, and overproduction that often causes a lot of spoilage of food and waste. To preserve food or to minimize the food waste, a variety of materials and processes are used to preserve the food that include drying, including freeze drying, canning, and also deep freezing at minus 40 degrees centigrade, which can extend the shelf life extensively. And also by adding preservatives, variety of preservatives are allowed. Hello? Okay. Somebody speaker. Okay, so refrigeration is another one. Once we buy the food, home, we at home we refrigerate it. Often it is ready, food is radiated, especially in the United States, and also wax coating is widely used in the developed country as well. Roughly about, give me 1 second, this is in my way, so I put it here. Roughly about a quarter of the food produced in the world for human consumption every year, approximately $2.5 trillion worth of food either get wasted or lost. That $2.5 trillion almost equivalent to Indian economy. And here are those percentage of which food group and how many percent get wasted. That is according to FAO. So 20% of the meat and grains and all that, quite many, but total comes to $2.5 trillion worth of food is wasted. And in India and developing country, it is usually higher. It's said about 40%. And still 11% of the population is either undernourished or go hungry. So we have developed some method to extend the shelf life of food. So I'm giving you some representative examples of novel material methods and devices. Excuse me. We have developed at JP Labs for extending shelf life of food, and all the data I'm presenting here, they are all conducted at room temperature, which is about 25 degrees centigrade. None of these data or photos or videos you would see would be done below. Speaker is on. Methods and so methods and materials. Now I'm describing my results. I would appreciate if people turn their speaker off because there is noise. Hope you can hear me anyway. So now I'm describing how did we do this? How did we treat the food? So one way we do it, we call pre-exposure method. It means we take a container. Here we shown with a pot, a glass container, take with a petri dish inside with a paper, and that paper is then, this container is loaded with the food, and then in the petri dish, and this paper is weighted with about 0.1 to 0.2 shelf life. Shelf life extender is closed. Somebody's volume is on. Container is closed and is taken out at a predetermined time. And now we have selected this pre-exposure method because it can be really applied in the field by small farmers, where they can have a box, and it can be closed. So box can be closed. Air gas. We use liquids, and liquid can be pumped through, and a vapor can pass through the container, and come out, and which can be either scrubbed or recirculated. The other method we use is called controlled release sachet method or sachet method, where we take container in a food in a container, and then a sachet is a plastic film containing, and then there is a liquid inside. Slowly that liquid diffuses out and creates an atmosphere of the food, atmosphere of which extend the shelf life. So this is the second method which we are using. First one is, as I mentioned to you, pre-exposure. Second one is continuous exposure. So if you have sachet, it can continuously provide the environment of the shelf life extender. Often it is called modified atmosphere. And this is also practical for farmers to use it, because they can put the food in a container and then they have a lid with the sachet. Sachet can be anywhere in the container, and then they close it. Now this can be shipped, can be stored and shipped for a long time. The third method and fourth method are very simple, just soaking or washing. So we take beaker, for example, in our lab, we take the solution of the shelf life extender in a beaker, add food in it or produce in it, and then we close. And after a predetermined time, we remove it, wash it, dry it, and then store in a container. And the fourth and last method, which is also simple, to add, if food is liquid, we add a drop of this liquid shelf life extender. By the way, that drop I added is a chemical we eat every day. And I labeled that chemical as chemical A, but that is the food, that is a food component, and we eat in microgram every day. By the way, you notice that I'm using only 3-4 chemicals. Somebody's speaker is still on.
May I request Dr. Baru, please unmute. Please mute your.
Thank you. I appreciate very much. So all the samples, this is the way there would be typically, we write the date we started and sample number 1, 2, 3. Sample number 1 is then the control. By the way, as I mentioned to you, the chemical I added in the milk was the one we eat every day. At this stage, I'm not disclosing the name because I don't want anybody to misuse it. So criteria we use for determination of spoilage, at that time, at this stage, we have not used any analytical method, but the criteria we use for determination of spoilage, one is the fungus. If fungus grows, we discard it, and that's a second one is the change in the state. If liquid becomes solid or curdling, then that's the second one. Third one is color change. It produces changes from green to yellow to red. Other one is over ripening, means softening or becomes soggy. Bad odor and the wilting. So, and then also sprouting if it is germination or something. These are the criteria we use for determination of spoilage. No analytical method at this stage we have used. Now the presentation, I'm going to first describe how I'm making this presentation, each slide. So this is general format of the slide I'm using. So all my results would be this way. All slides are presented this way. On the top of the slide is always the samples, control samples, here in case of tomato. And then this is so on the top is a control sample at a different time. There could be sometime 2 or 3. Here we have one more sample. Then we also at the bottom portion, I show the samples which were treated with some chemical, either pre-exposure method or other method, sachet method, dipping or so, and then at a different time. And here you can see this tomato control sample ripen in 9 days, while the sample which was, or the sample which was treated took even after 9 days, it is still green, and it took 18 days, almost twice as long it took to ripen it. And also once it is ripened, it lasts almost twice as much. And also note that I was also chemical here. I have sorry. So when it is C, I'm using it we have coded chemical number C, A, B, C, and also, and P means a pre-exposure method is just for my information. So you can see shelf life is quite a bit extended by this method with the chemical C. And you can see after I often would show the video. So listen, it's still very fresh. Can't remove the stem. See how fresh it is.
Very fair.
So we can delay the ripening, and once it is ripened, the shelf life of the ripened food is also, or produce, is doubled. Now, when it is liquid food, as I mentioned to you, we add, and here I'm showing you with the milk. Milk is the control sample started.
No, sorry.
And after third or fourth day, it started curdling, became solid. And the one you can see after 2 weeks, and this is third week, it still remained where I added that one drop. You saw the video, which is a food component. We call compound A only 0.1%. And after 21 days, it still remained fluidy, still liquid. Even after 28 days, it was still liquid. No bad odor, no curdling. This is the sample number 1 control sample. You can see after 4 days, it curdled. While you see after 21 days, the milk is still fresh. It remained fresh, no bad odor, no precipitation. Even after 3 weeks, just like almost as fresh as, no anything we could not detect visually or by smell wise. Even after 28 days, you can see it is still very fresh. And this is all was stored at a room temperature, 25 degrees centigrade. So shelf life of milk and liquid products can be extended extensively. Even can be stored at a room temperature. So we believe this is chemical we literally, as I said, we eat every day, and it's in microgram quantity, not in milligrams. Sometimes we eat even milligrams. And we believe this is so-called cold chemical sterilization. Otherwise, it is not possible, and we have reason to believe it. And at the end, if time permits, I would show it. So we tested more than 10 such compounds, though we eat one, but there are 10 similar compounds which also work equally well. Now, the milk, India is the largest producer of milk next to United States, which produces half of it. And about 20% of the milk and the dairy milk products are wasted. So that is lost to the world is about $200 million worth of milk and dairy products are wasted globally every year. That's a sick to date for to store is the pasteurization and aeration. There are a large number of materials and processes are proposed in the literature. Only one which is approved is this one by FAO is lactoperoxidase thiocyanate hydrogen peroxide.
What document calling?
Please put your side. Okay.
Direct insert.
Okay, liquid foods, not only it extend the shelf life of milk, but also we tested about 15 different juices, fresh fruit juices. Here is that of tomato and control sample. You can see in 3 days fungus started. After 5 days, it became significantly more fungus. And while the one where we added 1 drop of that food component, it even after 20 days, there was no bad odor, no fungus. Actually, it lasted 35 days before we discarded it. As you can see the top portion here, you can see the fungus, and here there was no fungus. So shelf life is significantly extended. So we've been able to extend shelf life of about 15 cold pressed fresh juices. Now, meat and fish, I'm a vegetarian, so we did not do extensive work on this one, but we have tested, meat, fish, and chicken. So here is an example. It's not extensive study like others. We have repeated no less than 3-4 times to check the reproducibility and optimize the system. While in case of this one, we have not. As you can see, meat, if first day is almost fresh, but second day it went bad, while the one we treated with is still relatively fresh. We have also tested chicken and fish. Now the berries and fungus. There are large number of fungicides are proposed in the literature. There are quite many, matter of fact. This is big long list of it. So we have something so special that it is a liquid and we expose to vapor. So this is the control of the strawberry. You can see on second day fungus started, and in 5 days lot of fungus, and it also started leaking. While that one which was treated, you can see it remain even after 5 days, berry is still pretty fresh. Now the blueberry. Blueberry on the second day at room temperature, it started, you can see the fungus growing. After 5 days, lot of fungus, while the blueberry which was treated, and you can see there is no, even after 67 days, there is no fungus. Watch the video next, even after 67 days of storage, virtually 2.5 months of storage at room temperature. These were the raw peanuts, the fresh raw peanuts, not the dried one. As you can see, after 13 days, the fungus started growing, and after 24 days, you can see a lot of fungus. While they're stored at for 1 month, 1+ more month, there was no fungus. Now, processed food, those were the natural fresh food. Processed food, cake. You can see control sample which was not treated, fungus started in 6 days, and in 8 days fungus started growing, while the one which was treated pre-exposed, no, this is sachet method, and then that you did not develop fungus. Then another processed food is we took puri. Puri, in about 5 days fungus started, and you can see in 15 days a lot of fungus grew. While that one you can see one which was pre-exposed, that pre-exposed even after 70 days, month and virtually 2.5 months, and still it remained fresh. And see the video next, even after 2.5 months, still it is as fresh as day one. Still soft.
Same as other.
Same thing with this roti, chapati or rotli. In 8 days, it grows faster because it's not fried. So in 8 days, fungus grew. While even after 80 days, the roti remained as good as, literally as good as day one. You can see I'm opening it. So there's no fungus. It still did not dry out or did not do no color change or anything.
Still soft.
Same thing with the rotlo, but millet bread, it goes, fungus grows faster, but even after 70 days, it still remained as good, literally as good as day one. Then among the other processed food, cheese. You can see in 7 days, fungus grew in the control sample, and 9 days, lot of fungus, while the which was treated with the sachet method, it's still up even after 10 days, no color change, nothing, is still fresh, no bad odor. Now the thickener, for tomato ketchup and all that, lot of in the food, lot of thickeners are used. So one of most widely used thickener is guar gum, and we forgot to take photos, but after actually started fungus growing, started growing in about 2 to 3 days, and in 12 days, it was whole thing was lot of fungus. While the one which is even after 90 days, there is no fungus. So, and this whole thing started when 5.5 years ago we were using another thickener for another application, and that when we even after 5.5 years when we took this photo, is still no fungus. So we have very good control over fungus for variety of foods. Now the grains and the germination. There is problem when unseasonal rain causes havoc in India for the farmers and even warehouses. Not even down there. Here also flooding caused a lot of problems. So here is one example where rice. So rice was first soaked overnight, then water was drained and then stored in a closed container. So this is the start, and you can see in 5 days it became soggy and it started stinking, very bad odor. While you can see the one we had added that food additive by sachet method, you can see that even after 21 days, there is no bad odor or nothing. And watch the video, even after 21 days, it is literally as good as day one. So it's a wet because that's where we started.
Wet, no smell.
Then the wheat. You can see wheat, within 4 days they started germinating. Here is shown the photo of enlarged portion. Well, that even after 21 days, there was no germination, no bad odor, no fungus. And you can see the video here after 21 days. It's slightly swollen, but otherwise no harm done.
Not bad, very little smell.
And then that was just wet, but when even if they remain soaked, when we add that chemical, in that, which is also a food component, even after 34 days, there is no germination, no fungus, nothing, no bad odor. Germination of the legumes, same thing it applies. We use the mixed legumes, and you can see in 4 days, it started germinating, and 6 days, a lot of big germination. While that one with the sachet method and chemical A, after 21 days, still there was no germination whatsoever. And you can see the video here. After 21 days, it had smell of legumes, but otherwise it remained ungerminated, no fungus.
Smell, but it has good one.
So, and mixed legume in flooded with water or soaked in water, even after 17 days, there was no fungus, no bad odor other than typical odor of legumes. Sprouting of unhusked and unshelled grains and nuts. First, I'm going to show you with the rice that this is unhusked rice and that they were soaked overnight and then put it in this container. And you can see, in a jar, in 5 days, they started germinating. 8 days, that big germination. While you can see the one which was treated, even after 60 days, still no germination, no fungus, nothing. So you can see this is the video of it after 60 days.
No bad odor. Soggy. Very hard, still very hard, no soft.
It looks like there was no effect of water. And then we left it in the water, so flooded with water.
No bad odor at all.
Even after 30 days in water, no germination.
Still very hard.
The shell did not become soft or anything, it retained its hardness. Now is the unshelled peanuts. You can see in the control sample, in 2 days it started germinating and it became quite big, a big sprout in 8 days. These peanuts were soaked overnight and then drained and then stored in the jar. You can see in the control sample germination, but in the treated sample, even after 18 days, there was no fungus, no germination. So sprouting of the tubers. Potatoes, we had done earlier, we recently started with the smaller where we can, so this was under 100% relative humidity. There is a jar inside with the water, so the humidity can be maintained, not water, but just humidity can be maintained. So as you can see, control sample in about 5-6 days, it started sprouting, while it took 15, or in 15 days, it started growing bigger. While that with sachet method, you can see there is even after 15 days, there is no germination. Same thing with the onions. Onions, the control sample fungus started, that black fungus started growing in 8 days, and a lot of big fungus, even one onion started even really bad. And this is again a relative 100% humidity. And you can see this, while that was treated even after 15 days, and no fungus, no germination. And this is even better because, today that compound called CIPC, chlorprophan, which is now banned in Europe, even manufacturing is not done in Europe, this fogging, so there is a need for a substitute. Obviously, there are a large number of candidates still, they are being tested and used currently. Actually, there are a large number of these being proposed for prevent sprouting. So delayed now the ripening of the fruits and vegetables. Tomatoes, I've already shown you that we doubled the shelf life, delayed the ripening. At the same time, a ripened tomato remained fresh for almost twice as long. This is the mango control sample. Here it takes longer time to ripen because of cold. We store at 25 degrees centigrade compared to hot weather in India. So in here, you can see there is no ripening. So we can delay the ripening of the mangoes as well. Now the tindola, you can see in 4 days, tindola started turning yellow, and in 6 days they turned red, and also fungus grew. Here you can see the sample which were treated by pre-exposure method. So they remain fresh. They lost slight color, but still see how fresh they are, or crunchy they are. It has lost light color, but otherwise it is fine. Then next one is purple. Same thing, you can see in 6 days, purple started turning yellow and fungus started growing on it. While that which was treated, no fungus, no turning color, still remained fresh. And then guar in 6 days, you can see fungus started. While that one was treated by pre-exposure method, even after 17 days, no fungus and still remain fresh and crunchy. You can see in the video. Slight loss of color, but otherwise no harm done. And then there are a variety of materials being reported in the literature, and one of the most widely used or studied is this called 1-MCP, 1-methylcyclopentene. That compound works very well, matter of fact, but it is almost 100 times more, 100 to 1,000 times more expensive than the chemical we use. So then vegetables, flowery vegetable, broccoli and cauliflower. So you can see broccoli in 3 days started going bad, and in 6 days it turned yellow. While the one which was pre-treated, you can see it takes much a longer time to turn yellow. Leafy vegetables, we tested number of them, and we had a problem with the controlling time because they are so sensitive and require so little exposure that we had a hard time to control it. Same thing with the leafy vegetables, coriander, methi, and all kind of the leafy vegetables. We need to expose only for a few minutes or extremely low concentration. So here we took parsley, which is the kind of coriander, Mexican coriander, You can see in 7 days, it started turning yellow and then became mushy. While the one which was treated, you can see it remained green and no mushy. But this control, it requires real good control. If you overdo it, does the damage, and if you underdo it, doesn't work very well because they are very thin. Now, that is just some examples what work need to be done. Extensive work need to be done. Above were some representative example. I only showed you 1/3 of it. But in the past 8 months since we started that project, because of lack of time, it is not possible for me to show all of the results. Extensive work is under progress. We're still doing very extensive work. However, I want to emphasize that what we have done is just demonstrated feasibility of the concept. We have not tested by any analytical method or how safe it is or any adverse effect. We have not done such a testing. So extensive analytical work is required to be done to determine any chemical, biological, or nutritive changes, as well as to understand the mechanism, which enzyme and how it delays and how it affects, and if treated food is safe to eat. All those 2 studies are still required. This project is gigantic. If you can think of it, we have touched almost every kind of food, fresh produce, meat and liquid foods, and all kind of produce, leafy, and it is very big, gigantic project and requires collaboration with university. We are working with here as well with the universities and companies. And it requires good collaboration because you people have expertise on this one, while I lack both expertise and instrumentation. And however, it's going to take pretty long time, but we have demonstrated that this really works. Only these 2 need to be determined. So main objective, you can see when I started the project, it was not really well-defined objective, but this objective, you can see using this simple means, instead of large equipment and complex processes used currently, with small farmers of developing countries along with large farmers and processor and distributor can use. These materials, methods, and equipment, they can be used from small farmers to large farmers. Using a small number of chemicals, we have not used more than 4, and still we are touching everywhere. So instead of hundreds of chemicals was used today, I showed you some examples. There are hundreds of such fungicides and biocides, shelf-life extenders and everything. And we use, one of them is naturally occurring, while the others have very low toxicity. These I'm very acutely aware that material has to be either food component or extremely low toxicity, and also should have very low price, very affordable. Utilizing material method that can be applied to a vast variety of foods, produce, meat, liquid, semi-solid. We also have tested a lot of sauces and processed food. You saw roti and cheeses and all that. So far, you can see have positive and beneficial impact on agriculture and food industry as well as the society. The impact, we believe this is a humongous project for me. And if materials used have no adverse effect, and that is the key word, if there is no adverse effect of the few materials which we are using, which I doubt would be, because this is the food we eat, or the chemical we eat literally every day. So I doubt it would be that bad effect, but need to be tested. So if there is no adverse effect, then it have potentially a huge impact in very many ways. It affects the agriculture and food industry and every one of us every day because we eat every day. Its monetary impact would be enormous as well, significant saving to country, world, whole world, farmers, consumers, people. And it also creates new businesses with a huge international market. It affects our health because we are adding using only few chemicals, so it can be very well studied rather than hundreds of them. And export, when you are exporting food abroad, then it can last longer by sachet method. military can have a little fresher food. Universities, and this is where I believe that we have pioneering work. Nobody has done this before. So anything you do, that would be your paper would be the first, and it can have very high citation index. And it's very pioneering original work. I would like to acknowledge a large number of people been helping me from very long time. Dr. Jivra Sutaria, a good friend of mine, Ramesh Bhai at your university, he's a good friend of mine and helping me for years. My nephew, then Sudhir Dave, he's a really great help. Then Jasmine, your Kenny, and there all the 2-3 Padma Shri people are also helping me. Muni Mehta, Dr. Sivaram, and all vice chancellor. Whenever I come, I visit to agriculture universities. I have been to all 4 universities twice, and I also have got good support from our vice chancellor, Professor Dr. Kulkarni. And I'm also associated with Patanjali, and many people here also help me. And this whole project I wanted to start but could not start till these 2 people. I'm really grateful to these 2 friends, good friends and alumni of SPU, Harshad Patel and CG Patel, requested me, to start this project and extend shelf life of produce by wax coating in May 2020. We started with the wax coating and we went into completely off direction, but that's good, so I wanted to start, but this last push came from these 2 gentlemen. So I'm really grateful to them for pushing me into it. And I have one young person helping me. This lady been helping me for 11, 12 years. And she's very hardworking, dedicated. She's so well organized. That is Miss Julia Colida. And we would not have achieved, certainly not without, in such a diverse field and unknown field to us. So I thank all these people. Now is a question. Anybody has any question, I would be happy to answer. Hello? Yeah, I could hear. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
I'm speaking Dr. Ramesh Patel.
Hello, Ramesh Bhai.
Congratulations, Gojan Bhai. You have presented very nicely and so open the window for us to do the work on a very vast field.
There is echo, Ramesh Bhai. Your 2 speakers are on either computer and anyway.
Hello.
Yeah, now go ahead. મારું screen share is sure. Share screen.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, yeah.
First
Yes.
of all, you have accepted our invitation to give the brainstorming talk on novel material and method for shelf life. Thank you for that. And I also thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Zinabai Patel. When I contact him to arrange such type of the brainstorming lecture, he immediately agreed and take up the leadership for arranging these lectures or talks. And also the Dr. PhD head has also taken leadership for this. So I am very thankful to all of you, all the vice. I have also contacted the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the SAU. They have also shown the interest before the delivering the talk and giving the promising to arrange this talk. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Ramesh Bhai. You've been always great support. And Veena Bhai, thank you for encouraging me to make this presentation, and your support is really greatly appreciated.
Hello. May I ask a question, Godon bhai?
Or any time, and now we can talk for hours.
Chemical which is used, is it permissible for the export commodities if it is treated with these chemicals?
Good thing you asked, Ramesh bhai. First thing, the one which I say, chemical A, which is a food component which we eat literally every day. I do, and you must be as well. That chemical is sold at $60 a kilo in a catalog, and it is also sold as a food additive. We call kosher and halal and all that. So it is available in a lot of say 100 kilo or 1,000 kilo or something. It is manufactured. The second chemical we call chemical C. It is produced in million kilos. So, and it is used as a raw material to produce something else. And that material been proven of the very low toxicity, if any. And it is also used in flavor and fragrances. So the two major chemicals which I have selected, they are readily available, very inexpensive. The example, second chemical which I call chemical C, it is available in a catalog even at $10 or $15 a kilo. So when it is bulk produced, it may barely would be $5 a kilo or something. And what we need is a milligrams per kilogram of produce. So we don't need as much because we are not adding except fluid. Rest we are exposing to the vapor.
Sir, can I ask you a question?
Please.
Is this chemical used commercially for extending shelf life in any country in the world?
Not for these two chemicals are not used by anybody for the applications which I described. They are used for some other purposes.
But this is the new work for extending the shelf life for the commercial application.
Correct, because Ramesh bhai, you know me, hey, I do always very innovative, something different, not the routine work. Because as I said, wax coating, I did not want to go for wax coating, which done I can improve, but that's not something innovative, pioneering work. So these chemicals are known, obviously produced in large quantity, and some of the applications are known, but not the one I'm describing, like to stop all the major fungus and ripening delay and all that not be known. Prevent sprouting. Couple of applications are known, but not industrially. They are not used. But they are readily available. Go ahead.
Sir, can these chemicals can be categorized as generally recognized safe, GRAS status?
One can be considered safe, but is still very potent. I mean, we eat, but we eat in microgram to milligram, chemical A. Microgram to milligram, we eat every day, but still it is a potent chemical. So it cannot be considered generally recognized safe, even we eat it. But so because we are not adding except fluid everywhere else, we are just pre-exposing. So when you eat that pre-treated food, what you would be eating is practically less than what you eat every day. So I would not say so in general term generally considered safe. In one way, it is generally considered safe because we eat. But at the other side, it is not tested. So I would not say, hey, it is safe, but I should be careful before I make such statement. No, I only do the chemical, no any additional treatment, no radiation or any other treatment whatsoever. I hope I understood your question and answer it. And as far as chemical it is synthetically, it is a lot cheaper than extract from food. It can be extracted from food, but it is at very low concentration, maybe a milligram or so per pound, or I do not know, should not, I think I know it's about 100 milligram per pound or per kilo or something. So extraction is more expensive. So it is synthetically a lot cheaper. It's very simple chemical. Once you learn it, you would say, goodness, how come we did not think of it? Now, what was your second question? Yes. You know, we can discuss, because I want you guys to help me, and I hope you can enjoy working and can get some credit of doing such pioneering work. We need to discuss. Yes, we have filed patent application, otherwise I would not have disclosed. It is a huge patent application of about 254 pages. It's because you can see how wide coverage it is. We have covered all kind of foods. So we need to, discuss this one, how we can go about. But I'm very much interested in doing some working with the universities, and I would be doing here as well, and also apply for funding. Normally, I don't go for funding. I do all R&D work with my funding in the past 20 years. But this time it is so much, and then it's so large project that I would collaborate with number of universities here and would apply for a lot of grants from government, because that's not possible for me to do. If it is one produce or something, that can be done. This is thousands of them.
Can I have a question? Sir,
Go ahead.
This is Himanshu Bhimani. Gordon, sir, I have a question.
Sure, go
Am
ahead.
I audible?
Yes, you are very well.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, as you are aware that scientists at agricultural universities are always looking for getting 100% seed germination. So what we have seen in your presentation is by applying that certain chemical, we can withhold the germination. That is for the purpose of extending their life. But in some cases, in case of wheat, it was withheld for 21 days. In another experiment, it was 34 days. And up to, in oilseed, you have withheld the germination up to 60 days. So, sir, when we use this chemical,
You cut off. I could not hear you, Vimansu. Hello? I can't hear you, I'm sorry. Hello? Yeah, go ahead.
sir, am I audible now?
Okay, go ahead. Now I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Let me finish this. Once we use this chemical to withhold the germination, how much we can expect the seed germination when actually such stored seeds and agricultural material is taken to the agricultural field?
I think we need to do the scale up. There are varieties of potatoes. Some we have noted, some germinate faster, some germinate later on. And we always have problems of getting good fresh produce. So that there's still a lot of work to be done. It need to be scale up, need to be tested, need to be whether there is any other, starch and glucose formations, all the sugar formation. That lot of things, not only in potatoes, onion, but beet and all that. Lot of work is still we have done with the beet, but beet we only focused on fungus. So a lot of work is required.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, go ahead, ma'am. No, no, that is two things I have not done. Even I myself legally cannot even would like to, but it's illegal down here even to put it in our mouth. I mean, if I can do it, but I have not done intentionally. I first want to determine by analytical method that there are no real chemical changes. And I do expect that there would not be real chemical changes because all we are touching is the, in case of ripening or something so-called, I mean, obviously you know better than I do, enzymes, and otherwise we are killing the bacteria and viruses or spores. So and concentration we are using is very low and we are exposing rather than adding. So I'm not expecting any adverse effect, but all effects need to be determined and there are hundreds of produce. So it's not possible for me to do it. So I have not done such thing and that's what I'm now looking for, help from universities here and industry from here and there.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Krishna, bolo.
There would be so many. That's what I have not done is determine not only nutrients effect on vitamins, minerals would not be vitamins, and all nutrient I have not determined anything. So that need to be done, and that would be hopefully we collaborate with all the number of universities here and in India and everywhere, and I think it need to all not only need to be determined, but I believe there would be a lot of interest. As slowly with this is just I have started discussing with the others only in the last 1 month or so. Yes, I'm certainly looking forward to, and that need to be discussed, as further with Vice Chancellor and how to go about. We sign MOU or some NDO or something where I can disclose to you guys and we start working on it or provide material and what data we have generated so far. Hello. Hello, yeah, I can hear you, but you repeat the question. Now you broke up, I can't hear. Some other people speakers are on and can't hear. I did not even hear question completely. I'm sorry. Can you repeat? Yeah, we are all thickeners in the guar gum, gelatin, and all kind of water soluble polymers. We add very little concentration is required, matter of fact. And sometimes what is required is an environment. If we have on the surface a little acid that prevents from fungus growing. But very little quantity is required, probably part per million level. I hope I understood your question and I answered it. Because there is some noise, some other people are talking and can't hear clearly. Did I answer your question, or was that your question? Yeah. Yes. Yes, very well. You are clearly audible. You are cut off, but not only, but I'm very much interested, not down there, but here as well. Just starting kind of joint project, or my interest now is only to understand it. I'm also a scientist, and I would like to understand the mechanism. All my life I have done nothing but research. So anyone who can help me understand that why this fungus does not grow, what is the mechanism, why it prevents or delays the ripening, or once even it is ripened, why it remains fresher longer. So we must be those pathways mechanism need to understand. Are we those enzymes we are blocking, or what are we doing? So need to be understood. And neither I'm equipped to tell you the truth, because I'm a R&D, manufacturing research industrial research company. And you people are not only equipped, but you are very knowledgeable, and sometimes highly specialized in one product. So yes, I would be very much interested, but that university administration has to determine. Yes, if it is liquid, we have to add. There's no other way. Just surface exposure would not work. And if it is other produce, if you want to wash it, so sometimes it's good to leave it in. Washing is 2 steps are easy to do. One thing, adding, anybody can add. Second thing, washing, or pre-soaking in water, anybody can do it in the solution of the additives. 2 other methods, which I call sachet method, that is for exporting or storing the food. If you have sachet on the top or somewhere bottom, that it would create a constant environment of this chemical shelf life extender. So that is a better method. And when you are processing fresh produce to extend shelf life, you can just create an atmosphere by passing vapor of it. So all those 4 methods we have developed, I believe they are very simple. It can be used by any farmer, and we are surface exposure. So we want to eat potatoes, or so how deep it affects, and when you cut it and fry it, would it turn yellow, or still remain kind of, not brown, but would it remain yellow? How much starch formation and sugar formation need to be determined. And I'm very much interested in knowing all that.
Yes, good morning, sir. I am Vinayak Patel from Sardar Patel University, sir.
Vinayak bhai, kem cho?
Bas majama, sir.
Sir, I'm so glad you joined.
Yeah. I got message, and it is a very nice talk. And if in all fields, if it is successful, it will be a great help to a globe. I have 2 question or doubt. Sir, have you come across the LD50 of this 2 chemical which you have used? This is one.
Okay. What is the second one?
And second, the roti or puri or the cake which you have shown the results, the moisture content is retained for 70 days. As you have said that you have not carried out any other experiment, and what is the mechanism involved in to retain the moisture? That is my question.
Okay, in case of LD50, in chemical A, which is food additive, it is low. I believe it is 50 milligram or per kilogram or something, or 20 milligram per kilogram or something.
Okay,
And
sir.
we don't need even milligram, or we need in microgram actually. In case of chemical C, with all these fungus and everything and delays the ripening and all that, I think that is about 2000 milligram per kilogram, or it's LD50 is pretty high.
Very high. Then
So
okay, fine.
LD50, yes, I'm acutely aware. I had a slide where I was comparing all. And then the second question about the humidity, yes, they retain humidity, but I did that one for fungus. I did not worry about the humidity, but after 30 days, 60 days, or 2-3 months, roti, puri, all that, they remain a nice, soft. So obviously moisture was retained, plus it was in a closed system, means it was in a jar. So obviously it must have retained the humidity. But in spite of having humidity, there was no fungus. So there the objective was to stop a fungus, so that once you prepare the food, it would not go bad if you store at room temperature.
So it is because of the closed storage, the moisture is retained.
Yes, because of otherwise, obviously it would dry out. So that's why we kept it in a, you can see your lid was tight. And that's why they remain moist, but the objective there was to prevent fungus.
It is fine. Chemical is preventing the fungus growth. It is fine, but along with the preventing the growth of fungus and retaining the moisture for 60 or 50 days, it is very good for processed food.
Yes, this is very applicable for processed food. We have variety of them. I wish we can talk for hours, but then I have to, I gave only representative examples. Actually, in case of roti, puri, rotla, I showed the 3 examples. Only one. So yes, Vinayak, but you are that's your department, food, science and home science. And I'm so glad you joined. I'm so happy. And good, you have some questions.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, sir.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Sir, I am Dr. M. Dabi from Junagadh Agriculture University, Processing and Food Engineering Department. Sir, you have suggested one is malic hydrazide for the preservation. But in India, it is banned. I have tried for the particularly onion, but it is banned for India. And similarly, I have tried to work on the MCP, that is 1-methylcyclopropane, that is for mango, particularly for the retardation of the maturity. But it is also banned for India.
Yes, it is. Many of these are banned for not India. In many countries in the United States and many countries, they are banned. But something, if as I said, component A, which chemical A or a shelf-life extender, people don't like the word chemical. But if it is natural and if we are eating, nobody is going to complain about it, cannot ban. As long as it is not in that high concentration, which can hurt. So the one thing I'm not worried about, that chemical A, which is food additive, which I add in fluid food or pre-exposed either by pre-exposure method or sachet method. I'm not that much worried about the chemical being too much in the food. What I'm concerned, my only concern would be, are there any adverse effect? Because I'm extra careful being a chemist throughout my life, that whatever I take must be very, very extremely low toxicity or so-called acceptable toxicity. So I don't think India would ban, or any country would ban, these 2 main chemicals. There are few more other as well. And in these 2 chemicals, it is a class of chemicals. So I've selected only one which was readily available, cheaper and all that. But in case of that food and food component which we eat, that food had 4 or 5 different chemicals of the same class in the food. And I tested about 10 or 15 of them on each classes, class A and class C. So in case if there is one problem with one food, one chemical, then there are many more available. Some of them, even I prefer to have liquid so I can create a vapor, or I can have sachet, and it's a lot easy to carry than gas and all that, like one MCP is methyl cyclopropane. It is extremely expensive. Probably you know it, it costs $200 per 25 grams or even maybe 5 grams. It's very expensive, not readily available. So one thing I have also made sure that these are available in 1,000 kilograms or in a million kilograms. So that would not be a problem. Did I answer your question? Are we cut off or still?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any other
Hello.
question? Hello, yeah.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Dr. Harsha Vakasia. Sir, very nice lecture, and I have one question. Sir, after a chemical, 21 days to 70 days could not spoilage, right? But
Yeah.
these containers put in aseptic conditions, yeah, room temperature in 70 days.
All my studies was at room temperature under ambient conditions, means 25 degrees centigrade, often in the light, but not always in the light. So it is always at room temperature. The milk and other produce and everything, when I was showing the shelf life, it was at all time room temperature, and typically it is maintained around 25 degrees centigrade, give plus or minus 2-3 degree here and there.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
The main objective is to also to prevent the minimize use of refrigeration and energy saving. So then all studies so uniformly can be compared. So we did all studies at room temperature.
Okay.
Thank you very much to everybody for listening, and you're inviting me to make this presentation, giving me this opportunity to show you what I'm doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon Bhai, for nice
Bye.
presentation.
Thank you, Ramesh bhai. It is credit to you. You is lot.
You have also cooperated very nicely with us.
Out of 30 participants, 24 are still here, and we still. So that's good. I'm glad there is interest.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.